crafters. Welcome into Guys Craft 2. My name is John, and with me today is my very good friend and special guest, Mr. Russ. Hey, Russ.
Hi!
So happy 4th of July.
Yes, happy Treason Day, us ungrateful colonists.
Right. I love, I never heard that until a few years ago, and I was like, I actually kind of like that. At the end of the day, it makes a lot of sense, right? But crazy, because we never know nowadays the way the wind blows or what's going on anymore, right?
Right. The wind blows many different directions, especially when you get stuck in the rain.
Oh, so interesting enough, of course, in Phoenix, we never have rain, right?
Except for monsoon season, yes.
Yeah, well, even then we don't, it's quick usually. It's, an hour. But driving up here Wednesday night, we had torrential rains coming up for probably a good 30, 45 minutes. So nothing in the valley. So about halfway through the mountains with all the curves. And then it's rained. Yesterday it rained really hard. And it's like, I forget that. It's so funny, the diversity in this state, right? I mean, I'm only 2 hours, and I woke up yesterday morning, it was 63. It was still 92 in Phoenix. The high here yesterday was 81. The high in Phoenix was 112 or whatever. It's like, it's funny, you don't have to go that far to have such a change.
So what you're saying is the snowbirds don't need to go all the way back to like Canada. They can just go up to Payson.
Yeah, it's so funny. I've got friends, a lot of them go to Show Low, or what's called Lakeside, but it's another hour and a half. So you're talking like 3.5 hours. And it's like, guys, I mean, like, you don't have to go that far to get that much difference. So let's see who's in the chat this morning. Chat was already active before I think I got out of bed this morning.
Yeah, based on what time I see the first chat from Melanie, you weren't out of... No, you were.
I was probably running around going, oh my God, I got a live coming up. Good morning, Melanie. Thanks for being here. She says she's jumping back and forth between two. Joydy's here. Miss Joydy is such a sweetheart, is she not?
Oh, she's awesome.
And Quilt Meets World is here. Mr. Russ is here, right? We haven't been together forever. When was the last time? It was about this time last year, wasn't
it? Probably. I think that's what it feels like. You abandoning me? Like, no.
Because you and I did a project together last year.
We did. That was Labor Day.
Is it Labor Day? Okay. I knew it was a holiday because you did Saturday, I did Sunday.
Yeah.
You're right. We did Monday as the final, I think. That was a long weekend too. I remember doing
that was a nice long weekend, and I ended up finally getting it done. Gave it to the neighbor kid. She loves it to pieces.
Isn't it funny? I just got those 4 quilts back from the Long Armor, and I was like, okay, so I love this one. So the patriotic one that we did for Memorial Day really turned out nice. So I'm gonna hang it in the family room because I've got a place where we hang up quilts. But then I got the purple one, the flamingo one, the other one, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with all of these? You gift a lot. A lot of what you work on is for gifts, isn't it?
A majority ends up being gifts, yeah. Although my sister is going to make me her personal sweatshop again to make quilts for her coworker friends.
Oh,
and
fun.
One of them is very familiar to you.
Really?
Yeah, she wants me to do a mazed quilt.
Oh. That's a Villa Rosa pattern, isn't it?
Yeah. I think all but one of them was a Villa Rosa. Maybe it was the first 2 she got were not Villa Rosa patterns. But she said that she wanted to look at patterns. And I said, if you're looking at patterns, you're doing patterns that I know are easy, because I do not want to be going in and doing all this extra work.
Someone I know may have subscribed back to Villa Rosa because they felt left out.
Oh. Well, I could show you everything that you missed, but then you'd have FOMO really bad.
It's just, I was like, because I have to say, after doing the patriotic quilt, even though it had some interesting piecing, it was so precise and laid out. Just, like as long
Yeah.
as you followed the directions and did exactly what they said, it wasn't
Yep.
an issue. And what I'm finding is like that entire quilt, I was able to convert and cut with the AccuQuilt.
Uh-huh.
And that's really what I want to do. I want to get away from all this hand cutting. I've paid too much money for the other.
And here, I don't mind hand cutting, so.
You're probably more precise at it than some people.
I am a little OCD with my hand cutting.
Yeah. So. About a year ago, one of the ladies, I was trying to piece together, I forgot what it was. It was one of the blocks of the month. And I had taken it to Quilt Club, and she goes, "You're doing this completely wrong. Let me just take this apart and fix it for you." Okay. And then she's trying to show me, and then she goes, "Okay, these are supposed to be like 1/2-inch squares or something." And I said, "Yes, I understand what the directions said." She goes, "John, they're all 3/4 of an inch." Oh, okay. Well, maybe I looked at the measurements wrong when I was. The good news is I was consistent.
I mean, yeah. You were just overcutting so you could trim down.
Oh, just too funny. I was like, fortunately, they gave me enough fabric, but. Hey, Balloonist, welcome in. She's down in the warm part of Tucson this morning. Kathy's here from Central Illinois. Now, she ought to be having, well, she's probably got some nice weather, but some humidity, I bet, to go with that. Brian's here this morning. Good morning, Brian. Welcome in. Judy's here. Jeannie's here. Becky's here. Good morning, Becky. Dawn's here. Melanie. Barb's here. She says, "I'll be lurking and listening this morning." We usually hold a pretty good conversation, though, don't we, Russ?
We usually try to, so she's going to be listening to a lot.
Just never know what we're going to come up with. Sweet Granny is here from Western PA, cutting a lot of 2-inch squares, she says. Been there, done that. Jen's here, says, "Good morning, gentlemen and all." Oh, look, she called us gentlemen.
I'm like, she's insulting me.
What else? Who else? Goodness, chat has been. Maureen's here. Good morning, Maureen. Welcome in. Stitcher's here, says, "Greetings from New Jersey."
Ooh, New Jersey.
I remember the first time I worked for a company based in Philadelphia. Of course, all I wanted to do was go over to get, at the time, I wanted to go to Atlantic City because I had never been, as a Kentucky boy, never been up to big cities anyways. And I remember meeting, at the time, we called them secretaries for the group. This lady was so New Jersey. It was funny. And she was like, "Hey, can you repeat that?" And I'm like, "Okay, girlfriend, you got to repeat some of the stuff you're saying." I was like, wow, that's what I learned a lot about accents.
Now, I remember 11 years ago now, I was in Massachusetts, and I decided to go to Eastern Mass to visit my college. I want to see what has changed since I had left, 6 billion years before that. And at one point, I asked a question, and everybody in the tour group was just staring at me. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And they're like, "What accent was that?" I was like, "I can't tell you. It could have been South Carolina, it could have been Western Mass, it could have been Eastern Mass, it could have been one of y'all's accents. And it was a mixture of all of them, just because my voice doesn't know what to do when I get around different accents."
Yeah, it's funny because I like to think that I don't have much of an accent because it's been quite a while since I've lived in the South.
Oh, you still got it. I'm just letting you know.
Yes, I know. They remind me at work, so it's funny. I grew up in Kentucky, my mother, my whole life, told me I was very Southern. And then I moved to South Carolina and realized, well, there's another Southern
Yeah.
other than Kentucky. And then the last company I worked for was based in Alabama. And I was like, oh, there's even another South.
When one of the trips that I was in Phoenix, we needed to call and get reservations to go one of the restaurants. We were on the way. We just want to make sure we had a table.
Yep.
And David had me call and ham up the Southern accent just to make
just to make it fun.
Just make it fun, just to make sure, because, the Southern accent sounds a lot nicer. And when you ham it up like that, they're gonna be like, oh, he was such a sweet guy and everything. We'll be nice and get him a table and stuff like that. That was the whole thought.
Which is not bad. It's funny because
yeah. And when we showed up, I did not ham up the Southern accent, and they're like, "You're not the one who called." I was like, then I hammed it up. I was like, "Yes, I am." And they're like, "What'd you just do?"
Let me turn it back on for you.
It's not like I told you to kiss my grits.
Oh my God, I used to love Alice. And that was so sad because I've always liked Linda Lavin.
Yeah.
And so I started watching mid-century, modern century, because I love Matt Bomer. And then to know she died.
I know.
Partway through, and I was like, she had such the perfect role. I mean, it's like.
Yeah, I watched the first episode, and when her character popped up, I was like, she looks familiar. Who is she? Who is she? And when I looked her, I was like, oh my God, that's Linda Lavin, Alice.
Yeah. And of course, we still have Mel's Diner here in Phoenix.
Yes, I know. I've been there.
I haven't. I want to go sometime. You never appreciate what you have just down the street,
Right. What was the movie? Joyful Noise. The one with Dolly Parton and Queen Latifah?
Yes.
It was filmed here in Georgia, and the restaurant where they had the food fight did not survive the pandemic.
Aww.
Because last time David was here, I was like, I know where we should go to eat. And I start looking, and I'm like, it doesn't exist anymore. And he goes, where were we going to go? I was like, the restaurant where they had the food fight. And he's like, huh? And I just pulled up the scene, and he goes, oh my God, it doesn't exist anymore.
It's funny, when we lived in South Carolina, they remade That Darn Cat, and that was filmed in Edgefield, South Carolina. So we went over to see that. But I don't think folks realize what an active film community Georgia has. Georgia does a lot.
A mile down the road, not even, they were filming a new Nick Cage movie. They were parking everybody up at the old Kroger. So I don't know if they did filming inside the old Kroger as they turned it into like a studio, or if they were filming somewhere in the area. But they had like all the parking and everything, and they have the yellow signs that are basically supposed to tell you where to go.
Mm-hmm.
They have basically like almost like a one-word code word, so that you don't really know what it is, but it's enough of a code word that if you're stretching, you can get it. And sometimes they don't even have the actual official title of the movie yet. Sometimes, and they had one of those signs out in front of Kroger, and everybody parking there, and I'm like, okay, what is it? So when I remembered what it was. When I got to work, I started searching, and it's whatever the new Nick Cage movie is. It's
I love Nick Cage,
or something like that.
I do like Nicolas Cage. I like a lot of things he does. Does feel like it's been a long time since I've seen a movie that he's been in.
Yeah, I can't remember. Okay, the last movie I probably saw him in was probably in the 90s.
Michelle the Quilter's here. She says, happy 4th to everyone here in the States. Glad to see both. And I am subscribed to both of your channels. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lynn Lockhart Quilting is here. She says, hi, Russ and Chad. Oh, Balloonist from Tucson says, I have been subscribed to Villa Rosa for years. I was for about 2 years and then just took a break. But I don't know. There's something comforting sometimes, I think, about their designs. And I do think they're getting a little bit more complicated. They're starting to use more half square triangles and stuff, I noticed. Or flying.
Yeah, some of their patterns have gotten to be that. There's one of them that my sister is making me do. I did not realize, it's not even half square triangles. Never mind. But when she was going through her list, I did not nix it because I'm like, I don't see the block, but it's Villa Rosa, so it's got to be fairly simple. It's a simple block.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a simple assembly.
See, I can't complain about the one, the stripes and sparkles or whatever we just did. It ended up being a simple assembly, really. But when you looked at it and trying to, it's like you had to trust the pattern, right? It was like, okay, so as soon as I did the first one, it was like, oh, that wasn't a big deal after all. But I really was concerned it was not going to be John ready because, I'm still very new and very junior in a lot of ways.
Well, the block was it's 2 rectangles and 2 squares in a almost like a subway running tile. The problem is you had to do some blocks going one direction, some blocks going the other direction, and there's a spacer row as well. And I was like, I do not approve. But I agreed. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatevs. Let me see if I can find it.
So Kev Mirth's here this morning, says happy 4th of July to everyone. Mama Jan joined us. Mama Jan.
Mary.
Is it Mary?
Yeah.
See, you're so good with names. You would think being
no, she said it earlier.
Mary. Yes. Okay. I even put my glasses on this morning. Isn't that sad? Mama Jan's here, says, good grief, took forever to get on this morning. Good morning. Oh, Balloonist in Tucson says, John, you do have a Southern accent. I do realize, too, it's funny. So we just got back from Myrtle Beach. So being in South Carolina for a week and that, I laugh because folks go, oh, you must have been back in the South.
It extended.
Yeah, apparently it comes back very strong after I've been back in the culture for a week or so.
In college, we were about to go to the cafeteria to get food because that's where you get food when you're freshman, sophomore, whatever year we were at the time. And my bestie Veronica came over and we were just going to go walk over from there. And Dad called. And I was like, okay, this will only be a few minutes. Just hang tight and stuff. And she, like, I'm talking to Dad, and she just starts giggling and giggling and giggling. And I'm like, da, 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 da. And then finally I was like, I need to go, got to get dinner or whatever meal and everything. And when I hung up, she's like, it was hysterical listening to your accent just go more and more south as you were talking to him. And I was like, okay. It's those things that you don't realize happens, but happens.
It is just different, right? It's just something we don't think about.
Yeah.
Because I don't hear it.
And that's it. Like I said, that's the weird thing for me, because when I go back to visit my sister, I'll start picking up the Western Mass accent. If I go visit family in the Boston area, I'll start picking up the Boston area accents. And then after a while, it's like my voice doesn't know what it's supposed to be saying.
All right, Jody.
You're being called out.
Who? Where?
Mary says, John, you aren't in your sewing room.
I'm not today. I am up in the park home today, but I do have.
It's called Shady Pines.
Shady Pines. We haven't said Shady Pines for a while, have we? So we're very happy to be up north today, which really isn't that far north, right? We're still like mid-state. But it's enough that it changed the temperature and gives us a break to get away. The park here is having a 4th of July picnic. So they're having hamburgers, hot dogs, and all that starting at 1 o'clock today.
And what type of salad are you bringing? Macaroni salad, potato salad?
I actually made, so I copped out, and one of my go-tos is a Cool Whip orange salad. So it's made.
See, I knew you were bringing a salad.
It's got to be a salad. Last year I took baked beans, and like 8 people took baked beans. So I was like, okay, I'll have to do something different.
Southerners, we like our salads.
We do like our salad, especially at a potluck, right? Mary Wilson in Minnesota, Russ says, happy 4th, quilters. I have 125 plus Villa Rosa patterns, and I love their free shipping. I'd be scared to count how many I've got after a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, David made a comment. He's like, I don't know how they're making money because the pattern was $2 in free shipping. I was like, yeah. You didn't order the digital pattern? He's like, there's not a digital one. I was like, I put 2 links in there. One was digital, one was print. Although there is something to be said about having a physical copy of a pattern.
I still like the card. I still like the card.
Yeah. I just purchased the digital because I needed the information sooner.
Yes.
But I'll probably end up buying the physical card later when in a group that patterns. So I'll be like, okay, I like this pattern this way. So that makes it the shipping better on them.
Yeah, and I've noticed too, it's not fast, right? If you order a couple of cards, you're a week to 10 days getting the card.
Yeah. And I don't mind that, because if I need it now, I'll buy it digitally. If I don't need it now, I'll buy it physically.
Yep.
It's the same thing with fabric. If I need it now, I definitely have to buy it locally. If I don't need it now, prefer to buy it locally, but if I can't get it locally, I will buy it online.
I definitely prefer to buy local when I can. I usually don't buy local if it's just something odd or something. The problem is, like, out in our area, we've got 5 quilt shops, but only one carries Tula, and they just carry a very small selection of it to begin with.
Oh. Yeah, I'm lucky. 2.5 of my local shops carry Tula. And I say half because one of them doesn't carry every line, just because they are such a small shop that it's difficult for them to buy in the 72 SKUs of, well, okay, like 40 SKUs of her bigger lines. So they carried like Tabby Road because it was a small set of fabrics, but they did not carry Untamed because they just could not afford to buy all of the SKUs, and they don't want to pick and choose a portion of them.
Which I get that, right? I mean, because, and the one thing about Tula, her line is so big.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the designers have just gotten to be big lines. Because Camille Roskelley, if you look at her lines, she's got 30 something prints in her lines. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. But at the same time, it feels like a lot.
Mm-mm-mm. All right. So, Holiday Quilting Bee, happy 4th of July. The pattern that I had picked came from allpeoplequilt.com, was called Yule Log. So if you are working on that pattern, congrats. I ended up, Mama Jan told me, she goes, that just looks too scrappy and too crazy for me. So she said, I narrowed down my fabric choices because I think it did have 10 or 12 fabrics. So since Mama Jan said that, I did the same thing. So I did not using quite as many fabrics as it calls for. So that is what I am working on today. Mr. Russ, what are you working on?
I right now am trying to get the borders on my puzzle mystery quilts. I've been finishing them up. So this is, I can't pull it too much up because it's currently under the needle, but
no, I like
got
that.
one of the borders on, or one of the sides on. And it's the Tree of Life puzzle mystery quilt from Cotton Cuts.
Yes.
So that's what I'm starting on. I don't know what I'm going to do once I get these borders on, but that's for half an hour for now Russ to deal with, not now Russ.
You'll be amazed. Guess what John got done yesterday? He finally did his niece's kitten quilt that Russ knocked out a week after.
Oh. So you now know how easy it was and how I was able to get it knocked out in a day.
I was surprised how quick it went together, except, of course, I knew exactly what I was going to do, and I did exactly what I knew I was going to do. So I have the kittens cut out. I have them laid out. I do the color borders on them like I'm supposed to. And then you're supposed to sort, like the orange gets this border, the green gets this border.
Yep.
And I had them both laying here. And as soon as I did that, I thought, you're going to mess this up. I did. So I ended up having to rip one completely apart, which I could have gotten by with it, but it was like, no, I want it right. So,
So Mary asked, where am I from originally? Because she doesn't notice an accent.
Ooh.
So I grew up in basically central South Carolina. And I have seen old home movies from back then, and oh my God, the accent that I had there was an accent. We'll just call it an accent. And then in the middle of high school, I moved up to Western Massachusetts. So they, my friends in high school ended up experiencing basically very Southern accent, and it slowly shifted up to the Western Mass accent, which I call it Boston Light because they've got some of the Boston stuff, but they still keep their R's. And like every now and then, like my brother-in-law will say something, I'm like, oh God, yeah, that is definitely a Massachusetts accent. And then I was out in the Boston area for 6 years, 4 for college, 2 outside of college. So my accent did a little bit of shifting east. And then I've been here in the metro Atlanta area for 24 years. And Atlanta doesn't really have an accent because we've got folks from everywhere. So the accent doesn't exist as much here. I mean, we have it, but it doesn't feel as intense. I'll get somebody from like North Georgia or Southern Georgia and stuff, and you're like, okay, I know who you are. But a lot of times people are like, it's just almost very neutral in the metro Atlanta area for accent.
I do think think you're very true, right? If you get out of Atlanta and you get over to Flowery Branch and on down to
I remember the first time we went to Flowery Branch, and I'm just staring. I'm like, really? The accent is that bad out here?
Yep.
And it's only like an hour away.
Yes, I know. But it's a whole different Georgia.
It is a completely different Georgia.
And I agree. I think Atlanta's become so metro, the accent's not the same, but it's not there.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never got rid of mine. I like to think that mine's become very mellow over the years, but people remind me it's not.
I mean, if you went back home to Kentucky, people will be like, "Where's your accent, dude?"
Yes.
Until 20 minutes after you're there and you pick it right back up. But if they heard like you on your channel, they'd be like, "Your accent isn't anything right."
It is funny how we assimilate, isn't it?
Yeah. I think one of the funny stories that I have is after having lived in Massachusetts for, I don't remember if it was junior year or senior year of college that I flew down for this trip. But I went back down south to visit Dad. And a friend of the family worked at apparently rules in South Carolina are weird because you can buy your beer there, but they also had like a little bar where they had cold beer and drafts. And it was next door to an ABC store and everything. It was all owned by the same people. But so friend of the family worked there, so I went there just to say hi and chit chat and everything. And this guy goes, "Hey Andy, do you have a corn book?" And I'm like, okay, why is there a book about corn? It's on the cob, it's cream corn, whole kernel corn, like all this stuff. And they're talking and talking. And I'm like, oh, you asked for a coin book. But like all I heard was corn book. And I'm just like, I do not understand. And then I was like, oh yeah, we put ours where they shouldn't be here.
All right, Russ, I got my first giveaway.
Giveaway.
So we're going to start simple today. So
give it away now.
Right. I have an anthology batik print assortment. It is a fat eighth mini pack, and it comes with 3 fat eighths, and they are all in the blue. So it's got a medium blue, a light blue, and then in the center is a dark blue. I just don't want to open it It'll make it easier to ship. So let's go over to Nightbot and see if we can get Nightbot to cooperate today. If you put exclamation point Batik, B-A-T-I-K, we will have our first giveaway. Exclamation point B-A-T-I-K.
I do not understand what I did to Nightbot to make it so upset at me and give up.
Yeah, I don't either, because I know Sean finally just kind of threw his hands up.
Yeah.
I think Danielle bounces back and forth a little bit, but she's still using Nightbot. I, knock wood, have never had the first issue. So I don't know if I'm just not using it enough, if I'm not monitoring some of the stuff like I should. Yeah, I mean, but
yeah, our friend Steven, he hasn't had issues either. So I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on. I switched and I haven't had issues since I switched. So,
well, and of course I'm all Mac. You know, I'm an Apple guy, so I don't.
But that shouldn't matter because it's just streaming. It's not installed anywhere.
But we shall see. Let me make sure I write this down. There we go. We'll pick that up later. Probably not.
Okay, I'm probably going to be playing Bob and Chicken when I start this next scene.
You drive me nuts with Bob and Chicken. You always do so well with it too.
I lost in the middle of a scene recently.
No, you didn't.
I did.
See, the problem is the Juki. These Jukis do not tell you a thing. They just keep stitching. Then I take it out and realize, oh, I must have ran out of bobbin a while back.
It seems to be 50-50 if I get notified or not.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I think this was the first bobbin I finished, or I'm sorry, this is going to be the second bobbin, but the one that I lost on was the first bobbin after my maintenance, and it may have turned off the bobbin notification. I don't know. Basically, all my settings were reset when I got the machine back, and I don't know every setting that I changed, so I don't know if bobbin notification is a default setting or not.
No, I get that.
So we will find out after this if I'm going to get bobbin notification.
All right, let's pick a winner. Gene Moosley is the winner.
Ooh, Gene! Yoo-hoo!
So, Gene, scrolling across the bottom is my email address. If you will just send me your address to ship that out to, I will get that done for you probably early next week. And in the subject, if you would put Batik to help remind me of what you want. So, congrats. So Russ, talk a little bit, because so I've done the holiday quilting bees now. I think I started. It's been about a year now. And
yeah, it was. I think it might have been 4th of July last year was your first one.
That's what I was saying. Isn't it sad? I should remember that. I'm getting old.
I can't remember if that's the first one that you did or whether it was.
I don't think it was Memorial Day or Labor Day. I mean,
no, I was going to say I thought it was Veterans Day, maybe.
No, I know it was before Veterans Day, because I did Stephanie Stitches. She gave us the table, Christmas table runner to use. So sweet of her. So I think.
Yeah, she's out on vacation right now. I can't even text her.
No. I tell you what, that girl stays busy. So
because she's not in the country right now, and I'm like, dude, how am I supposed to survive? It's like with you, a day without texting you is not a day worth living.
it is. We have become good friends, have we not?
I mean, you know, my favorite thing is just to text you. Did you see that sale?
I know. He is what we call an enabler.
And it's even funnier because I see the sale, but I don't purchase anything.
That makes it worse, Russ.
And the next thing I know, 2 weeks later, there's a video from John. See what I bought, and it's all Russ's fault. It's not my fault that you don't have any sales resistance.
Oh. Although
I watched that episode of I Love Lucy.
I remember. I did go with Cotton Cuts yesterday. I ended up not going for their mystery quilt.
Yeah, I really pondered it because when I pulled it up, I think they had like 25 left of the Tula Pink colorway.
That's the one I wanted too. If I got it, that's what I was getting.
And I was like, it's the 1,000 pieces didn't bother me. It was the fact that I hadn't seen any of the projects done. I've also seen it advertised on 5 different Facebook groups I'm a member of.
Yep.
That they are doing it as part of and when I say Facebook groups, I mean they're quilt shops. So I have seen like 5 different quilt shops say that they are doing this. And I know, and Cotton Cuts is pre-cutting everything. I don't think anybody else is pre-cutting. But I'm like, I want to see one of these projects completed before I do it because I want to know what I'm getting into. That's the whole reason why I didn't do puzzle mystery quilts until after I had seen a couple of them done, because you're not making blocks with a puzzle mystery quilt. So I don't know what we're making with the 5.0 quilt, mystery 5.0 quilt. I want to know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, and my problem is it would save me money if I stayed off of YouTube some days. Used to be I had to stay off QVC, but now it's YouTube. And I discovered the Pink Door that has all kinds of Tula stuff. So yeah, I may have a couple of boxes coming from Pink Door.
Yeah, there's reasons why I stopped watching like the So Yeah Brothers and things like that, because I'm like, if I see too much of it, I'm going to want to spend it.
Yeah, it's funny because Sally loves So Yeah, and I saw them the other day. In fact, yesterday they were having a big 4th of July sale, and that I had one for a few minutes, and I thought, you know what, best thing you can do is just turn this off.
Well, it's I've ordered stuff from them, and then like from their fabrics, and I don't know if this has changed much since, but I would get my fabric that I ordered from them and look at it. I'm like, this isn't what I ordered. So I would rewind their live stream and be like, okay, this is what I ordered, but it's just so different on camera.
Oh.
So I had stopped purchasing fabric from them. And then Notion Night, they were advertising things. You're getting this at such a great deal. So I ended up spending a couple $100 on a Notion Night. Later finding out that most of what I bought, I could have bought at my local quilt shop, and in some cases, a couple dollars cheaper. So after that, I was like, okay, I know I'm not really getting that much of a deal. I have thought about, maybe on the Tula nights using them to purchase my yardage.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted, or my basically fat quarter bundles and stuff, because they are a couple dollars cheaper than my local quilt shop when it comes to fat quarter bundles. But then I'm also like, I could buy it from my local quilt shop and I don't have to worry about waiting.
Well, and I do like supporting local. I mean, I try
Yeah.
to all points. It's interesting. I know you'll be shocked. I found a Juki machine that I wanted because with doing the retreats and that, I know I may need a couple of machines to be able to rent out in that. And so I found a really good bargain on a Juki. And, Juki's what I know, what I like, what I understand. So
Yep.
that's what I'm going to stay with. And so, but I texted my local shop and I said, look, here's what I found. And, I'd much rather buy it local because when it needs services and that, you're going to get it anyways. So can you get close or beat this or, do what? And they took care of me just like they always do.
Yeah.
And, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I mean, I understand they need to make money too, but it's like, well, but I only have so much to go around. And,
Right.
starting retreats is a big investment, and but you slowly get there, right? I mean, you just can't get there overnight. Balloonist says Russ needs a life.
I need a life?
That's what she says. What are we missing?
That's what now I forgot what I needed a life about.
I do too. She'll tell us. Mama Jan says, you are not owed. Give me a break. Try 83. Oh, Marianne, is Stephanie on a cruise? She is not on a cruise. She is on vacation, right?
Yeah, she I can't remember what. I think she may have said where she is going in our live that I was with her in on Saturday, but I can't remember if she did. And because I can't remember, I'm not going to say. So it's one of those, if it's been announced, I will tell you. But if it hasn't been announced, I don't feel like I'm privy to say.
Yeah, because Stephanie does share a lot with us, but at the end of the day, it's hers to share, right?
Yeah.
Mary F says,
Mama I lost Bob and Chicken this far away.
No, you didn't.
Yep. Literally, what is this? 3 inches.
So how's your machine done since you got it back?
Oh, it's been great. This time it did decide to let me know that I was running out of bobbins. So whatever happened the other day was just probably a fluke. But it's a quiet machine as it is, but yes. It feels quieter after the servicing. It's just like, your car runs a little bit better immediately after an oil change. And then it'll eventually, work its way back up to the standard noise that you're accustomed to hearing.
I wouldn't know about oil changes. We don't do those anymore.
I have an oil change scheduled in 3 weeks. And part of me is like, do I want to ask them to show me the Nissan Aria?
Ooh.
And I'm like, do I want to see it? Do I not want to see it? And I pulled up the pricing and was like, I can't justify enough of that. I may have to look to see how much a lease might be, because one of the other vehicles that I was looking at, they are doing a lease for $199 a month right now.
Yep.
And I'm like, I could do a $199 a month lease because half of that is the gas that I'm saving.
Yep.
But I can't quite afford the car payment right now. In 2 years, I can easily afford it, but right now I cannot. Trying to pay off a bit of the recent renovations that I did. And once those are finished, paid off in 2 years, I'm like, I can afford whatever I want. Which, if I was smart, that would be paying off more and more of the house instead of going for another vehicle, but my car is already 13 years old. So I'm like, I don't know where I am on borrowed time right now.
So I switched to electric 2 years ago. I love being all electric. And so, interesting enough, because I got the Volkswagen, they own Electrify America. And as part of the deal, you get 3 years of free charging at their stations, 30 minutes a day. Well, I hardly ever use it because since I work for an electric company, I get free charging at work. So, for me, it's really saved me actually a lot of money because work charges me for free. Volkswagen will charge me for free. So, like driving up here is a 2 hour drive. It's like 118 miles. As soon as I get here, there is an Electrify America station. So I get here and I'm down to like 25% charge. To get it back to 100% takes about 42 minutes. So in the parking lot is a Mexican restaurant. So we go and have Mexican while the car sits there and charges. The first 30 minutes free. So it costs me a whopping $7 to charge the car back to 100%. So I couldn't have drove here with a gas car for $7.
Yeah, I did the math. Well, where I work, they have the charging stations, but you can only charge up to 4 hours, and then they start charging you by the minute.
Yep.
But the way that my electric rates are where I live, it cost me about $30 to $35 in gas for a tank of gas, and it would cost me $7.50 for a quote unquote tank of electricity that went the same number of miles.
Oh, wow.
Because our electric rates are so cheap where I live. And the only reason why I actually realized how cheap they are because my sister was complaining about her electric bill. I'm like, how many kilowatt hours did you use? And she didn't use any more than I did. And her electric bill was like 3 or 4 times mine. And she's got what they call it a delivery charge. She goes, I've never seen the electric man come and deliver me electricity. So with that, I was like, I don't know if I really want to move back to Massachusetts if you have electricity rates that are that high. She says she's had $1,500 electric bills.
No way. That is crazy to me.
Yeah,
All right, now I got to read the directions a little bit because, of course, I put this together wrong.
Uh-oh.
I forgot this is supposed to be log cabin-y looking.
Did you say you bought the haunted cabin from Art East?
I don't think so.
The ghosts that are in a square? Somebody said that they bought it, and I bought it a couple weeks ago.
I did. Yes. I did not buy the kit. I bought the pattern.
I didn't buy the kit either.
I did buy that.
I'm now get to the point where I'm like, okay, as soon as I can get these graduation quilts done, which I need to get a couple more homework things done before I can get the graduation quilts done or started. I want to start doing some of the fun Art East quilts because they are fun patterns. And like, especially if I can do one where we don't have kits and we compare to see how our projects come out. Me and at least somebody else. I'm like, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bought that pattern and I bought another pattern from Art East because they do have some really, they just have some really cool things. I mean, I just bought the, what's the other? I bought the, I think the dog pattern, the dachshunds.
The Halloweenies.
Yes.
I tell you I bought the puffins and Tula?
No.
Yeah, it got to the point where I was looking at enough, and then I saw the backing, which is the Huffin and Puffin fabric, and I was like, I gotta have it. I can't say no anymore. Good thing it's not delivering until November.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. It's like, John, you've already committed a lot of money for October, November.
Oh, I can bring that to Stephanie's retreat in December.
Yeah, you could.
Hey, Stephanie, I know what I'm doing at the retreat this year. Which means it's got to be delivered early in December so I can get all the cutting done because it's, 7,000 pieces of cutting.
Well, and that's the problem. That's what I do like a lot of the Art East. I mean, he does some really cool patterns, but then when I start looking, I am very much getting into either pre-cuts. Or again, I just want to be able to put it in a die on AccuQuilt. It's like I don't want to spend time cutting a bunch of small. Yeah, I want to sew. I am really hoping next weekend to finally get little Gracie working again. I hung the 4 quilts I just got back from the long armor on the long arm that kind of let
I
her
saw
know.
that in your video.
There's alternative.
He's trying to halfway cheat like he did it himself.
No, I was trying to tell Gracie, look, there's alternatives to you. Interesting enough, my long armor told me I just need to sell my. She goes, you should just sell your long arm and then you can bring everything to me. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going backwards.
I mean, on one hand, it depends on how many quilts you plan on finishing as to whether or not owning a long arm is potentially a investment or not.
Yes.
Because if you only finish 3 or 4 a year, a long arm is completely unnecessary. You are going to be spending a lot less money paying somebody else to do your long arming. But if you finish, 12 or 15 or more a year, then it ends up being cheaper to have a long arm of your own, because the payments that you would be making on a long arm end up being what you're probably paying your long armor to long arm your quilts. That's basically how I justified my long arm.
No, and I think at the end of the day, if I would get in and really spend a couple of weekends focused on the long arm and get multiple projects, on and off,
Yeah,
it would be so much different, right? Because then it would be like, okay, now you get, you get a rhythm going.
yeah.
And that's the problem. I just haven't done enough that I can say, oh, I've got that rhythm. I'm into, that's what I need to get to.
Well, part of what I need is how to properly use the software to its advantage.
Yep.
And I have a class that I'm attending in a week and a half that is being done by the Handy Quilter educators. So I'm like, I really want to take the class. So I mean, I have the day off for it. But then I'm like, I'm not going to have time to play with it for another couple weeks because I've got to go back to work right the next day.
Yep. Work interferes with a lot of stuff I want to do.
But I'm still excited to be able to take the class. I've got questions already that I'm like, I need to know this answer. I need to know this answer. And getting them directly from Handy Quilter, where they don't like to say, I don't know. That to a customer. They don't want to be able to tell a customer, I don't know.
Yep.
So hopefully I will be able to get my questions answered, because I've asked people and they're like, that doesn't make sense to me, or I have no idea what's going on. I imagine like a Handy Quilter educator would have seen enough questions, dealt enough with everything that they could say, well, this is what's going on.
You would hope whoever they're bringing around to do that, right, is well versed.
Yeah, I mean, they are Handy Quilter educators. Like they are the people from Handy Quilter. It's unlike, you know, in order to rent the long arms at my local shop, you have to take their class, which is basically loading and unloading and how to follow a paper pantograph. They don't do the computerized pantographs for renting, because they tell you it's probably the same price or cheaper to just give it to a long armor to do edge-to-edge digital. And I was like, that makes sense. So they only teach the basics, and it's the only stuff that you need to know to rent their long arms. So when I ask them questions, all I get is, well, that doesn't make sense, but I don't know. And we have a new quilt shop, and I visited them, and they had Handy Quilters long arms running. And I said, can I ask you a silly question? And she's like, sure. I was like, does your long arm do this? And she goes, all the time. And I have no idea why. I've just started to assume that it does it all the time. And I was like, well, mine only does it randomly. Like sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. And she just looked at me. She's like, that doesn't make sense. Because I would expect it either works all the time or it doesn't. And be consistent, and it's not consistent.
Yeah, I was fortunate because the problem is the local shop that this machine came from does bring in Qnique once a year to do classes and that, but it just hasn't worked out with my vacation schedule. So I was able to find Marie, the quilted poodle, who actually will do one-on-one Zoom calls. She's so educated around it, and that really helped me so much. And she actually had a good lesson plan, because, you know, I had a lot of questions, and she just laughed. She's like, how about if we just start at the beginning? Okay, but, you know, I've already been pushing these buttons. She goes, yeah, let's look at your setup, and let's look at this. And I was like, oh, okay, you really do want to start. And yet I did have some of the settings wrong. And so it was really nice to have that one-on-one, someone that had that much knowledge just really spend time with you.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Judy's asking where the new quilt shop is at. I'm assuming Judy is somewhere local, because otherwise she wouldn't be asking this question. It is Roswell Road near, and this is bad directions, because Roswell Road intersects Robinson in two locations. But it's the location that is closer to the Home Depot. There's like an electronics repair shop or something there. And if you go down behind that little shopping plaza, It's in the back. It is called Stitched, Stitched, I think it is. Maybe it's apostrophe D. And their website is stitched.gifts, which is a weird website, but that's what they are. The owner was super nice and everything. So, but when I went there, it was fresh after grand opening. So all they had was basically blenders. But according to what I've seen on their website and stuff, they've gotten a lot of fabric lines in. It is in East Cobb. So you take Roswell Road away from the Big Chicken towards running east. And it is just past East Cobb Park, if you know where that is.
Judy says east of the Big Chicken.
Yeah, we have a Big Chicken here in Atlanta or Marietta. So
Danielle joined us. Hey, Danielle, thanks for being here today.
Oh,
and Katie Crafts is here. Hey, Katie. Corey's here. Hey, Corey. Corey says, I like to cut a couple of quilts and set aside. That way they are ready when I have time.
So, Judy, if you send me an email, I will send you all the information about the new shop. That's easier than me trying to say, it's here, 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 and here. Okay, I've got which one's top? This one. I've got this quilt done with I got to get it pressed, but it's done.
I really like those colors.
They are Juicy Juice colors. The fabric is Juicy Juice.
No kidding. I wouldn't have picked those, to be honest, but I really like how that came together. I mean, I like those. I like that.
And of
course, I like
backing is purple because me and my purple, but it's in the same fabric line. So all I have to do for this one is get the last border pressed, get the backing piece, and throw it on the long arm. And I'm kind of hoping to have it done before Saturday Sampler in 2 weeks, but knowing my luck, I won't. Because I'm going to want to procrastinate until I've taken the Pro Stitcher class. And if I have to wait until the Pro Stitcher class, then I'm like, da-da-da. But then I'm not going to have any time that week after the Pro Stitcher class. So I need to convince myself to do it sooner.
Yeah, I wish you had thought about that when you had your machines in the shop, because that would have been a perfect week to have caught up with at least one or two.
Yeah, I was kind of annoyed when you didn't suggest that to me until after it was already too late for me.
I didn't think about it, but when I did, I was like, well, why didn't he just long arm that week?
Yeah, I was just like, and it was only a couple days because I was going out of town. So it was just basically Saturday and Sunday that I was without the machine since I was working Monday. And like I said, I didn't think about it. And then it was Sunday night. You're saying, yeah, I'm sure Russ is getting a lot of machine time on the long arm. I was like, I could have been long arm. It was worth it to just sit and chill. It was worth it.
It was. We need the downtime. We forget, right?
Okay, and then I've got this other quilt to do. Border on.
Oh, it's time for a giveaway.
Ooh, giveaway.
Let me figure out. Go back. Giveaways, commands, giveaways, keyword, new. All right, so I have a fat quarter. And even though we're doing Christmas in July, this one is, let me turn my camera back on. So this one has, actually, it came as a fat kit. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's got 4 fat quarters, and it is all in the purples, actually. So it's this piece with this piece with this piece and this piece.
Those are gorgeous.
Yeah, they really are. I was really happy with this. So if so, it's 4 fat quarters. If you put in the chat !fat, we will find a new winner.
They're not fat. They're big boned.
Ironing out. Mama Jan says if you just number the blocks that you need to cut and ignore the directions, this will go together easier. She wasn't happy with the directions. Say it's been that's why they go, I can't believe you do a live and you haven't even stitched one of these out yet. Like, is what it is, right? The fun of us doing.
I'm going to let you know, half the time when I am doing my Saturday morning lives, I haven't even read the directions yet by the time that I go live. I'll have something open and I'll be greeting everybody, saying hi, how you doing, da-da-da. And I have the directions sitting in front of me, like, okay, how do I put this together? What do I do? The nice thing about the cotton cuts is most of the time I have to do at least 2 of them. So I'll have a chance to try to put together a piece of it beforehand, so I know what I'm doing. But if it's a bigger pattern, half the time I don't even know what I'm doing until I actually get live, and I'm like, oh, so that's how we do this.
That's what makes us real, though, Russ, right? We just live this, we're living this quilting journey together.
And as many times as I've pulled out my seam ripper on a live, I have no issues with it.
Tell you what,
with Stephanie Saturday, I pulled out my seam ripper 3 times. And it's a block that I've completed before.
Oh, that makes it even worse, doesn't it?
Oh, wait, no, I do not like the way the pattern was done for this block. So I understand why it's done the way it's done, and I get everything. But if I had known that I was going to have as much leftover fabric as I did, I would have done it completely different.
All right, so let's give away the first little fat quarter bundles. Melanie Taylor. So Miss Melanie, congrats. And if you will, my email is scrolling down at the bottom. If you will put fat in the subject and send me your address, we will get those mailed out next week for you.
And make sure you remember that that's what you told her to put, because you're going to read it and be like, why is she calling me fat?
Yeah, that's why I'm actually keeping a list of papers. I didn't realize I should write these down. The first live we did like this, and I learned after that, oh, you might want to keep a list so you know what's what.
I mean, the good news is Nightbot does keep a log of the chats.
Yes.
So you can go back and see who actually won, but that doesn't help because we don't have everybody's email addresses.
Right, right. So you still need that contact information.
Yeah. But it prevents, somebody like me from saying I won. And you'll be like, wait, I thought somebody else won.
Well, and I try to do a variety, right? So it's not like just actually I did bring quite a few fat quarters this time, but is what it is. It's just I've had so much going on trying to pull things together and get things. I'm having a Quilt Ladies luncheon coming up later this month, so I need to get the invites and that out to that because I enjoy having my little friends over and just having a good time in that. But it's like wow, it's like 4th of July. I'm still trying to figure out how I got to the 4th of July.
Yeah, we're more than halfway through the. What was I? We are more than halfway through the year, which means we are closer to the year 2050 than the year 2000.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Which is scary to start thinking about.
Well, it is because I never even thought about it like that. Because I
think technically on January, I think we had to be halfway through for that to be true, but we are closer to the year 2050 than the year 2000 now.
Well, and that's what my retirement date has always been, like 2030, 2032. And I'm like, I don't know, it's getting here much sooner. And with the economy and the way things have been, it's like, I'm not sure that I'm ready just to walk away and not have that regular pay. It's like,
yeah. It's like we have our, eventually we'll have Social Security maybe, but we have our 401ks. But it's like, is that going to be enough?
yeah. It's just, it's crazy. Mama Jan says she has 2 of the rectangles done now. Look at her. She's been knocking these out. Maureen says delivery charges are a killer. Sherry says, where did you order your Tula from? I got mine from, I actually got some from Pink Door Fabrics, and then I ordered from my favorite quilt store. I think is where I got my other Tula Pink from. Where'd you get yours, Russ? Didn't you pre-order somewhere?
I have pre-ordered kits, and those came from. I don't remember.
I know, isn't that awful?
It's one of the Etsy shops in Washington. That's all I can remember, and that's how I know what is coming because I'll get the USPS shipment notification like a day or two before Etsy will send me it's on its way. So it tells me what the origin scan is, and based on the origin, I'm like, oh, that's that fabric kit. Judy's Fab Stash. That's what it is.
I think I looked at hers. You told me. I think one of the links you sent me, I may have ordered from her as well. I think the problem is John pre-ordered more than he remembers.
Yeah. I usually am really good because I'll know that a fabric line is coming out, so gray work is coming out. And with Tula, I am really bad about coming up with my own patterns, but I love the patterns that they have published for them. So I'll just go and just search for, go to Google and I'd search for gray work fabric kits or patterns or something like that. And they're all pre-order, obviously. And I'll be like, ooh, I like this one. I like this one. I'll pick the ones that I like. And I'll order what I want. And then don't order what I don't want. And then I'll have it in my head that I've already ordered for that fabric line. So I don't need to order anything else. Until, Art East comes out with a pattern. And I'm like, that is gorgeous. I need it.
And then you text John and say, look
what I'm getting. And John's like, why are you sending me this? I need to retire in a couple of years. I'm just keeping your coworkers happy by keeping you around there.
Tell you, it's been so crazy. Brian says he doesn't mind cutting, but he uses his Cricut. I have still not cut fabric on my Cricut. I need to do that.
I'm hearing more and more horror stories about things like Cricut and some of the 3D printers and stuff like that, where it ends up becoming you have to pay a monthly fee in order to use their stuff. And I'm like, why am I buying something if I have to continue to pay you to use it?
Yes.
I don't have to pay whoever made my TV every month just to watch, my TV programs.
So Melanie says, John, do you have automation on your long arm? Which I do. So I have two long arms. I have the Handy Quilter sit down, which does not even have a stitch regulator, but I do small projects on it. Then I have Grace, the big long arm, and I do have QCT software on it, actually the latest version. You have software, Russ. What software do you have?
Yeah, I have a Handy Quilter long arm, so I have the Handy Quilter Pro Stitcher. Because I'm fairly certain that you can't mix and match long arm with software with, like, you can't put like a Handy Quilter on a Bernina frame and use Quilt Path or whatever your QT software is. So
interesting. Yeah, I don't know because mine came with.
I'm fairly certain you can't do that. But because I will tell you, I think it was the Innova software that I used was really nice when a friend of mine had an Innova long arm, and I used it with a I used it to quilt Mom's quilt. So he had a digital pantograph on there, so I'm following the pantograph on the screen, and it was so much fun to do. Whereas, my local quilt shop, they have the paper pantographs behind the machines, and I hated that. I hated the way that process was. If I had only experienced my local quilt shop as this is how a long arm works, I would never have gotten a long arm. But because I've experienced the digital pantographs, which I can't follow them as easily on my Handy Quilter, I don't think, because I don't think it moves the screen with it. And that, but I've got the electronics. So if I have a digital pantograph, I'm going to have the machine sew it instead of me follow it.
Yeah, I found a pentagram that I liked the other day for the kitten quilt that I just got done. That has the it has little kitten paws inside of hearts, and then one of the hearts is a bonefish. And so I thought that'll be really.
Oh, that because I have you when you were describing it when you said it's got a kitten paw inside a heart. I was like, I did that one, but the one that I have doesn't have a bonefish.
So, because mine's for a gift, so I thought, oh, that'd be really cute. That'll be a nice way to close that out. Let's see who else. I feel like I'm way behind on chat today. Oh, Joydy's back. Cindy says, what a cheery thought. I won't sew it unless I get to 102. Green Fairy. Greetings, John. Oh, Charlotte's here. Says, greetings, John, Russ, and chatters.
Hey, Charlotte.
Melanie says, I have a small setup. She has the Cutie frame, and she has the Unique 15 Pro mid-arm. I looked at that originally. That's a nice little setup, actually. It seems very manageable to me sometimes. The big one gets, I think, is intimidating at times. Brian says you don't have to pay monthly for the Cricut, but you don't have access to all their designs. You have to buy them or you have to have the subscription. But once you buy a design, it's yours forever.
There was one version of the Cricut, and I only know this because I watch a lot of for lack of a better phrase, right to repair style videos, and people complaining about buying something and then losing features. And I thought Cricut was in one of it. Could have been another one of the Cricut style products where you bought it and then after a while they decided that we want to start charging you to continue to use it.
It is always something, isn't it?
Oh, the world is getting ridiculous with one of the channels that I watch. He needed a new dishwasher, and because he didn't have the luxury of, several months of research.
Yep.
He did very fast research, and the one that he purchased it based on reviews and features and stuff, and he gets it home and most of the features are basically walled behind an app. So you have to connect your dishwasher to the internet. Why your dishwasher needs to be on the internet, I don't know, in order to access most of the wash cycles. And he did not know this because the review that he read was for the 2024 model, and he ended up buying a 2025 model, not knowing that they were changing the way the features work. So he gets like 4 basic wash options and not even the one that he wants to use unless he connects the stuff to the internet. And I'm like, I don't trust putting my appliances on the internet, because at that point you have to trust that your appliance company is going to keep any software vulnerabilities patched constantly. And we know how that doesn't happen, especially if your dishwasher becomes 10 years old.
Well, and I just get tired of everything's got to be connected to the internet. You know, it's like, come on, guys, really?
Like I said, My dishwasher and washing machine and fridge do not need to be connected to the internet. Unless you're going to let me watch Guys Craft 2 from that device.
There you go.
And even then, I'm like, maybe not.
I know my new stove connects to the internet. My new dishwasher connects to the internet. My washer and dryer wants to connect to the. I'm like, I don't need, I don't need all that. And what could my stove and oven do connected to the internet that I would want it to do when I'm not,
Yeah. And they're like, well, you can start preheating your oven on your way home. I'm like, I turn on the oven when I get home. By the time that I have gotten Riley outside, walked and everything, get upstairs, get myself changed, my oven is ready for me to put something in it. And a lot of times you still need to prep whatever needs to go in the oven.
Yeah.
That is why it takes a preheat time. There's no need for my oven to be connected to the internet. There's no need for my dishwasher to be connected. All it's doing is running water over the dishes. But they advertise it as things like, you can keep tabs of your efficiency or something. And I'm like, I can look at my glasses in the top rack and say, oh, look, I didn't put enough jet dry in it, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. I don't need an app to tell me what I can see when I take my stuff out of the dishwasher.
I miss the old days where I could just push a button and the appliance worked.
Yeah.
Now I got to hold my finger there for a minute and hope it recognizes me. And
well, those touch pads, they're capacitive buttons, are not blind people friendly because you can't feel where the buttons are.
Yeah, because there's no braille on my machine. I mean,
yeah. So if you have a sight disability, you can't easily, you can load the dishwasher, but there's no way you're starting it.
Interesting. You are always such a wealth of knowledge.
Again, oh, wait, you said you don't want to see what my YouTube feed looks like.
No. I get enough glimpses. Scary.
What are you cooking, Joydy? And why am I not invited?
Oh, Balloona says she doesn't have internet down there where she's at.
I mean, she appears to be a little bit remote in Tucson from what little I have seen.
Yes, apparently. I am jealous. Joydy's cooking boiling blue crab.
Ooh. It's been a while since I've had. I can't say that sentence. No.
No, you cannot, Ross. This is a family-friendly show. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
The sad thing is I didn't get really any seafood this year at the beach.
Ooh, I haven't looked to see what the menus are on the cruise.
If you're going Royal, they usually have a captain's dinner one night, and the captain's dinner always has lobster tail.
Ooh. I've seen their sample menus, but like I said, it wasn't until yesterday that we got our confirmation numbers. So now I think if I look through the apps, I can see what's on the menu every day and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll be interested to know what show you get to see.
Oh yeah, I haven't looked. I didn't see what the options were for
I think it
shows.
was. It's the one that begins with H. I can't think of Harmony. Harmony had Grease 2, and I was booked to go on, or not Grease 2, but Grease. And I was booked on the Harmony right before COVID, so I ended up not getting to go.
Okay, now I want to see what the show is. What would it be under? Onboard activities, probably. And yeah, casitas, seminars, sports, tours. I know that they have shows because there was a comedy show, but I don't see it under onboard activities. Because those are the casitas, that's the seminars. Tours, I don't care about the tour. The games, because they have an escape room there.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, but I'm not seeing. And it could just be they may not have published it yet. They may not publish certain things until 90 days ahead of time. And we haven't hit 90 days yet.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Because I know that there's a comedy show on board. Because I saw that before you have your actual reservation information, they can you can look at other cruises, and the other cruises I remember seeing like comedy night and 80s comedy or 80s there was an 80s something in there, and I'm not seeing that on this cruise yet, so that's why I'm thinking it's probably not going to show up for another 2 weeks.
They usually don't change them out too much, because especially the shows, because it's too much.
Yeah, because you've got the people that are in the groove and everything. I just got to wait until Stephanie gets back in a couple weeks before I can say what are we going to do. Because I know there's probably going to be a few things that we both want to do, and we might as well book the stuff together at the same time, and then after we figure out what we both want to do, we can figure out what we want to do on our own.
I like Joydy's suggestion. It says Russ needs to start practicing his karaoke.
You can't legally call what I do singing. To quote that line from Big Bang Theory, I don't know what that was, but if cats could talk, they would hate it too. It does not stop me from singing in the car at the top of my lungs. There was one time David was here visiting, and I don't even remember how many years ago this was at this point, but he was here visiting. I had to get my Saturday sampler done. So he was out with his friends and that, and I'm in the kitchen or the dining room area because that was my sewing setup then. And I had Phantom of the Opera on TV, and I was just belting those high notes as horribly as I could. The cats were hiding, and then I didn't even hear him come in, and he was staring at me for a good, like, probably at least minute before I looked up and saw him, and he goes, "What the hell was that?"
So now it would be Wicked, right?
Or Newsies, or Shrek the Musical, or Rent, or basically any of the fun pro shops. But
I still like Legally Blonde.
oh, Legally Blonde the musical is awesome.
And Kinky Boots.
Yes, I watched that with my sister while I was in Massachusetts, and that one was so much fun.
I miss going to the theater. I looked at buying a new subscription plan to our theater because we've got a really good. But the problem is, it's like with everything else I've got, it's like, do I really want to stop at least once a month to go to the theater, to make up? So
Yeah.
I ended up not buying tickets to live productions, but this past weekend we did go to the new Cinegrill and saw Lilo and Stitch.
Ooh, I wanted to see that.
It was pretty good.
My sister had asked if we were going to go see that while I was up there because the previous time we saw The Little Mermaid. And I said, I'm game if we have time and everything. We apparently didn't have time.
Well, I want to see the new Mission Impossible, but I won't go to the theater to it because I don't like to sit for 3 hours in a movie theater. So next on our list is How to Train Your Dragon.
That looks like that's going to be good.
I wouldn't mind seeing the new Jurassic Park that opened this weekend.
That also has, the dreamy Jonathan Bailey in it.
Yes, yes, yes. And I really liked our new Cinegrill. So Harkins is our local, regional, and it is so far ahead of AMC. It's not even, there's just no comparison. It's sad for AMC. And they opened a new Cinegrill, which is actually the closest to the house. And the food was decent in that, but basically for the same price because we have our Harkins cup. So I get a discount soda. We have our Harkins popcorn. So I get free popcorn. And they have a s'more skillet dessert that just sounds.
Oh, that sounds good.
Doesn't it? I thought, well,
I don't like marshmallow and that chocolate doesn't like me. That sounds good.
But we don't have to, I was like, so we don't have to have dinner. We could just go have a movie and a dessert.
The issue that I have with the movie theaters because we have Studio Movie Grill or Movie Studio Grill or something like that they call it, where you get your meal while you are watching the movie. I can't eat in the dark. I want to be able to see what I'm eating. It is frustrating, especially when you get something like macaroni and cheese and you're trying to eat and you're like, why can't I pick up a noodle because I'm stabbing in the dark?
It's a new skill set we have to learn, right?
And then it's just like there's sticker shock when you buy, $12 popcorn, when you end up paying like $15 for your macaroni and cheese. And I'm like, that's a little. I mean, I get why they do it and stuff, and then you still have to tip them. That wasn't expensive. I went to see Avengers with my neighbors, and I'm like, that was an expensive dinner.
It is not a cheap night out. And our theater was full of kids, and like this one couple brought 5 children.
Oh,
And
I
so
feel sorry for that couple.
yeah, but they're eating. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, like, dude, what do you do for a living that you could afford 7 movie tickets plus bring them? Yeah, I was like,
oh yeah, because it's like $20 for the matinee now.
It was $31 for 2 of us to see the matinee, and we went at 4:30, which still qualified for matinee.
Yeah.
And the tickets were $31, and I'm like, wait a minute, I must not have picked the matinee. And I went and looked, and it's like, oh no, the matinee's till 5. I thought that I don't even want to know what the real ticket price would have been.
I think a lot of it's because they've cut down the number of seats in the theater.
Yes.
And if you have to pay, I'm just going to say $1,000 to do one screening, and you're only getting a quarter of the people in that room. I just remembered I didn't get an email. I'm going to check my email when I get done with this. A friend of mine wants to go see the new Superman movie.
Oh, yeah,
and I was like, should I put in for the employee screenings tickets? And he's like, wait, you can do that? I was like, yeah, we have a screen. Like, the email came out that day that we can sign up for it. So I put our names in for the tickets, and we were supposed to find out by end of day yesterday if our names were chosen for the tickets. But I logged off like an hour beforehand. So I don't know what time they would have sent the email out that said if we got our tickets or not.
How cool would that be, though?
And then I found out that he's got like 12 different contests that he's entered for other tickets. And he's won a couple of them. So he's going on, like, I think the day before we would go, he's got tickets from a different contest that he put in for and stuff like that. So he's gotten a few screenings ahead of time that he's going to go to. At which point I was like, do I really? Because I'm undecided if I really want to see it. But also I'll go see it if it's free. But it's a Wednesday night. And I'm like, I really don't want, and we're signed up for the 7:30 screening. So that means that's going to be over 9:30. Then I got to drive home and then get Riley set, like everything. I'm not going to get to bed until 11.
You do remember there was a time in our life we didn't go to bed before midnight.
Yes, I do remember that. I also remember that my college was a test market for Surge, and I loved that soda. And
Surge?
We were a test market for Surge.
No way.
And I didn't realize how much caffeine was in it, much less that I actually am hypersensitive to it. So there were days that I didn't sleep.
Judy says the more she drinks, the better she sounds when she does karaoke.
The better she sounds, or the better she thinks she sounds?
Mama Jan says she has 3 of her rectangles done, and even though it calls for 3, she's doing 4 because she's an overachiever. Oh, Kevmar says their new theater has cheaper tickets on Tuesdays and a free bag of popcorn.
Oh, I think the Studio Movie Grill has cheaper tickets on Tuesday as well. But again, we're going there at dinner time. I need food.
Mm-hmm.
And it just ends up being a ridiculous price. But I also understand that they need to stay in business too, and they're making basically zero money off of ticket sales. They make their money off of food sales.
Well, and streaming and that has got to kill them, right? Because I mean, it's
yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm saying is they don't really make any money off the ticket sales. They never have, even back when tickets were cheaper. All of their money is made from the popcorn and candy and that.
Yep.
Which is why it costs $10 for a popcorn and soda. It's because that's how they're making their profit. If everybody would go in and buy popcorn, they can sell it for cheaper.
Well, just interesting enough, right? You may have went opening day to see Wicked.
No, we did not.
Did you not? But
no, I waited until David got here, and he ended up buying tickets. He accidentally bought 11 p.m. or something like that, thinking it was like the 11 a.m. show or something. And then he had to get those tickets exchanged for a reasonable time. So I think we were a week after for Wicked.
So I didn't even think about seeing it in the theater, right? Because I didn't know anything really about Wicked. So we waited to stream it. I ended up waiting and streaming it on Peacock or whatever because they came out fairly quick with it on Amazon. And they wanted $28 or something dollars. It's like, well, if I'm gonna pay you that much to sit at home and watch it, I could go to the theater for that price.
Yeah. But the thing is, you're paying $30 and you can stream it for your entire family, for people with larger families, as opposed to $20 a person for 5 people. That's $100. So you're saving at that point a lot of money for the theater versus the theater.
Well, plus you're not. It's not none of the food expenses and all that too.
Yeah, you don't have to pay $100 for popcorn and all that other stuff. You can pause it if you have to go to the potty.
Yes. Some of us do have a hard time making it through a whole movie now.
I mean, I have the bladder of a 6-year-old school kid, so. I used to be mocked by one of my best friends because, like, if we would go to the mall, when I got there, I had to go bathroom.
Yep.
Before we leave, I had to go to the bathroom. When we arrived at our next destination, I had to go to the bathroom. And she's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Bladder of a 6-year-old."
I used not to be that way. But definitely now.
I used to not be that way, but I think that was back when I was dehydrated constantly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because growing up, we never properly hydrated. And then, like now, when I go to the restroom and I see that I'm not properly hydrated, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to drink water today.
Yeah. Of course, you've got the humidity in that, but I mean, with our dry environment,
that does not help us with hydration.
No, but I'm just saying it.
It doesn't help. It doesn't doesn't dehydrate us as much as your dry weather.
No, but I think you tend to feel more hydrated than we do, but you're actually not. You just happen to have a more, a little bit more moist around you, but that doesn't mean your body's hydrated. Now, so I have all of my blocks done. So let me iron this one and I'll show off and then we'll do another giveaway. Are you doing anything this afternoon?
I have zero plan. We don't have, like, our neighborhood event for the summer is it's next week, isn't it? It's next week. And I'm like, I can't go because I've already got plans for next week. But yeah, I don't have anything scheduled for this afternoon. I'm just figuring out what I'm going to be working on for my live tomorrow. That's what the afternoon plan is going to be.
All right, you want to see my squares?
Always.
So there is my.
Oh, that's fun.
Isn't it different? So I liked the jingle jangle and the Santa Claus is coming to town. So I did mean to mix that up a little bit more than I did, but it is what it is. So now I've got those three, and now we got to put the borders on.
So are all three of yours the exact same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, let me go over to Nightbot and change this up again. Nightbot and next and next. All right, so I have a charm pack that is actually
charming.
Doesn't have a name on it. It's 100% cotton. Oh, it's on the front. It's Baking Up Joy, and it is a Christmas one.
Which is not to be confused with Baking Up Joy.
Right, that's right. But it's cute. It's got like snowflakes. It's got the gingerbread men, hot cocoa. It's got a lot of cute fabrics in it. So exclamation point charm. We'll get you registered for this one.
Okay, I've got a difficult question. Is a gingerbread house made from gingerbread men or a gingerbread men made from gingerbread houses?
Gingerbread's gingerbread, right?
But is the house made of a gingerbread's flesh, or is the flesh made out of a house?
I don't know. Have you ever made a gingerbread house?
No.
I haven't either.
And I'm not allowed to make gingerbread men. I have sent gingerbread house kits to my family, and they've made them. I'm not really a gingerbread person. I don't like the taste of gingerbread.
Really? That's my
And
favorite.
I understand the whole point of a gingerbread house. You probably aren't eating it afterwards, but the smell doesn't excite me or anything else in there. So the whole gingerbread concept is lost on me.
Oh no, I love gingerbread. Joydy has your answer though.
You need gingerbread men to build a gingerbread house.
She's not wrong.
I have never seen a gingerbread man build a house. Not even in like Shrek.
Oh my God, that's Shrek.
Yes, that's Shrek.
I got that. I got that reference. I don't always get movie references.
Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man!
Oh my goodness. All right, let's see who's going to win the charm pack. I feel like I'm getting behind today. All right, back to Nightbot. Judy Hebert won.
Woohoo! There was a gingerbread land.
Brian says he makes his gingerbread men shirtless. We don't watch much network TV. I hardly ever have network on anymore. So everything, is Hulu, Netflix,
Yep.
HBO. But we have gotten hooked on Ghost. And they make some really interesting references in that.
Ghost, as in the movie with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze?
No, there's a show called Ghost on Paramount, on CBS.
I think I have been told that I should watch it by a friend of mine.
You would enjoy it. I think it's definitely your speed. They make some very risque references, but it's just funny. You know what I mean? It's not raunchy, dirty, and all that, but yet it's kind of like a Shrek almost.
So last time I was at Saturday Sampler, I don't remember what it ended up. Oh, that's what it is. They complain about people who will sign up for Saturday Sampler and then just stopping in the middle of the program, which leaves a pattern broken up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, we try calling people and we get ghosted and stuff like that. And then they're like, oh, yeah. And for definition, ghosting means this, because, there's a lot of older people in Saturday Sampler who may not know what the term ghosting means. And I was like, I thought getting ghosted was when you were making pottery with Whoopi Goldberg. And, just the looks that I enjoy getting.
But you do realize, unfortunately, that does absolutely date you now, right?
So me knowing every episode of I Love Lucy dates me as well, because no.
Right? Oh my gosh.
I know things from before I was born.
I did love Lucy. My dad hated Lucy. He said all she does is cry. He wasn't wrong.
You would cry too if it happened to you. I just like to tell people the only thing that I know about cruise ships I learned from I Love Lucy, which means from bicycles while we are on the pier.
Well, and I mean, you do remember, right? I mean, so they did the cruise ship. They went to Hollywood. They did, that show was very
the train trip on the way back.
I mean, when you think about it, for that day and age, that was a very progressive show.
Oh, yeah. So with the boat, when they getting on the boat, the first handful of times that I saw it, I was like, how did they, like, mentally, all I'm thinking about is, oh, they did a cut. They put Lucy stuff in the chain and everything, and then they resumed. And then after a while, I was watching, I was like, wait, they just did this in one single shot. How did they do this? So I finally one day stopped it, I rewound it, and I got to see exactly the way they do. They basically do what they do in theater, where they put something in front of the event. You're still they're still having the whole conversation, and you can see that, like, they basically brought like a pallet or something on in front of Lucy. So that's where they're going in there. They're probably had somebody quickly jump off the pallet, put Lucy's slip in the chain, and then get back on the pallet, and they just move that off, and then Lucy's now stuck. So because they didn't do a lot of takes and pauses and everything, because it was filmed in front of a live audience.
Yeah, yeah.
So just seeing that all of this stuff is how creative that they got, and they did a lot of the theater tricks in there.
Well, that's why a couple of years ago, a few years back, all of a sudden, like, we're not supposed to, we're supposed to get rid of Gone with the Wind and that movie and that. So I made sure to go get a copy of Gone with the Wind for my grandkids, because I'm like, I was a radio and television major in college, and just from a production standpoint, what achieved and did back, like, people don't appreciate the artistry, in that movie. And it was like, folks, you forget like what it took to make some of this happen. Like, I still laugh. I remember the first time I saw Singing in the Rain, and the fact they put him in a box and twirled it upside, and that's how he got to dance on the ceiling.
Well, and then a lot of the problems that, like, the Wizard of Oz had with their filming and stuff, like Margaret Hamilton had third-degree burns on her face and arms from one of the pyrotechnic events. And I'm like, you don't really realize how much safety did not exist almost 100 years ago. Okay, I've got the other one done.
Oh, I like that even better. The other one with the orange in that is great, but
yeah,
of course I'm a
this
purple
one is for a former coworker of mine. So she wanted a quilt, and I basically said, well, if you buy a cotton cuts and I don't have to do all the extra work, I'll make it for you. And I started really nicely with it, and then life got in the way for me to continue to keep all the blocks on time. And then she ended up leaving the company willingly. And then I was like, well, I don't know when. And when I said I need to start getting these projects off my table, I was like, well, I need to get these cotton cuts project, and because they're the same project, I was able to do them at the same time, the same pattern.
Yeah.
So I just have to make the backs up for these two, and I can get them on the long arm.
Well, especially because, like, once you get through a pattern one time, you can really get out so much faster the second time. But it's like, well, but now I want to do something different.
Well, that's what I was doing with these. Is before my live, I was doing the Juicy Juice version because I didn't care if I had to do a little bit of ripping and stuff like that with that one.
Yeah.
Because that one was mine. And cottons are a little bit easier to deal with seam ripping than batiks. They're a little bit more forgiving. So I just said, if I have to do a rip, I'll do a rip, but if I don't, that'll be really nice. And after that, I would be able to figure out, okay, this is the most efficient way to do the sewing on camera and get the block done. And I would do the blue one live on my channel.
Oh,
so it gave the interpretation that, you know, I knew what I was doing because I did at that point. But also I didn't have to do the extra, okay, what concerns do I have to do? Do I have to sit here and think too much? I was able to just sew with it.
Did you sew at all at your sister's? You didn't take a sewing machine, did you?
I did not take a sewing machine. I did not, you know, think about any sewing while I was up there. She doesn't have space for me to set up to do any sewing.
Well, and you don't have a featherweight, right?
No, but even if I had a featherweight, she doesn't have the space for me to set up to sew. I love her and everything, but and I'm amazed that 5 people are able to live in the square footage that she has. I mean, I love her house. It's a really cute house, but it feels very tiny compared to my house because my house is laid out completely different and has more square feet. Because up there, the more square feet you have, the more square feet you have to heat in, you know, 0 degrees Fahrenheit weather sometimes.
Oh my God.
So it's
that I cannot imagine.
Yeah, so their houses are a lot more compact. And she's got a partial finished basement, but her father-in-law stays down there. Because the first couple times that I visited, that's where I slept, was on the futon in the partial finished basement. And that was so nice because it would stay cool down there and everything else. But since her father-in-law moved in, I have to sleep on the couch.
That is probably the one thing I miss the most about East Coast, our basements. I mean, I grew up with a basement. But, the last house I had in Virginia had a walkout basement, and man, I would kill to have that today.
When I was house shopping, I didn't even think about, you know, whole values of a finished basement because I wasn't quilting back then, so I didn't really need. I was like, I don't need something down there, and I was thinking, what could I do with a partial finished basement? And basically, talking with my realtor, learning like a lot of the price differences, I was like, I don't necessarily need it. And then nowadays, I'm like, I really wish I had a finished basement because I would have been able to, you know, set it up as a YouTube studio like I've seen other people do. Like Stephanie, her entire basement is basically it's her shop and YouTube space.
Yeah. I mean, you literally double the square footage of your house.
Yeah.
But.
And my sister's basement, you can stand up easily in it. I mean, I'm not going to jump, but I could stand up. My grandmother's house had a cellar, which is what I more envision a basement as, because it's finished and everything. And I had to duck while I would be downstairs in the cellar because I could not stand up vertically with it.
Well, I remember I built a house in Kentucky, and I was talking to the builder, and it had about 2/3 of the 2/3 was a basement, and then it had a double car garage attached to it. And so it was the design of the house. And we were talking, and I was like, well, no, I mean, I'll finish that out and probably make an office for me, a playroom for the kids and that. And he goes, "Oh, that makes sense." He said, "Then we'll put 9-foot ceilings in." Because he said that way it'll make it feel more open and that. And I thought, oh, well, I would have never thought about that, but cool. Thanks, dude. I mean, and
yeah, I think she's got either 8-foot or 9-foot ceilings in her basement. Like, well, if you saw the picture, my head hits her ceiling fan.
no way.
Did I not send you that picture?
Oh, you probably did.
And by ceiling fan, I'm only talking her lights, not the blades. But the lights only, an inch or two away from the blades. So it gets to be terrifying to go to her house and all that other stuff. But like I said, love her to pieces. I'm proud of her, of everything that she has done. So I support her with every little bits that I can. Even if that includes her cussing me out for hiding spiders throughout her house.
Tell you, definitely, she did. You did get your revenge. And all she did was send you a little glitter.
She infected me with glitter, yeah.
That you're probably still finding remnants from.
Uh-huh. You can't get rid of glitter.
No.
Jody's asking how tall I am. I am 6'1"-ish. Which the first time I met Stephanie, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're tall."
Look, Stephanie's so tiny.
And then the second time that I met Stephanie, she's like, "I forgot how tall you are."
She is a sweetheart. I am so fortunate to have got to meet her and know her. And that poor girl always has a lot going on.
Yeah. And like she's been beaten up this year with personal stuff. So
oh yeah, well, with her dad and all that going on, I mean,
yeah.
And of course, I mean, them moving there has got to help. I mean, I'm excited for her for that. And then, of course, she became the ambassador for Bernatec's.
Uh-huh. I was going to say, you should probably shoot her an email and find out when she's going to be in Phoenix later this month and have Filiberto's with her.
We've already talked.
Oh, good.
Yep. So, and I also told her if she needed help, we would come out and do whatever she needed done.
So I expect to see a picture of you and Stephanie at some point together.
It is, it's got to be Filiberto's, right?
Of course. I don't know.
We have one right down the street.
The first time that I visited David and I got introduced to Filiberto's, I was like, oh, this is so good. And what I would do when I would visit him was I would fly in on a Tuesday. I would fly in on Tuesday. And he would keep me up as late as I could stay up because time differences and travel exhaustion.
Yep.
And then Wednesday, he would still go to work, and I would end up getting up early because I'd still be on East Coast time. And he's like, oh, that's when they had already had Taco Bell breakfast in Phoenix. So I was like, I want Taco Bell breakfast. And he goes, there's a Taco Bell like 2 blocks that way. And I would walk there, which that's when I was like, oh God, there's no trees for sun protection. So my eyes were dying. And I would walk back and I would take like an hour nap, and then I would be fine in Phoenix time. The second year, I did the same walk to Taco Bell because I had no idea how to get to a Filiberto's. And when we went to Filiberto's on, I think it was probably Friday that we ended up making to Filiberto's. I was like, wait, Filiberto's is it? I could have walked here. I could have gone here instead of Taco Bell for breakfast. That said, I probably would have gotten lost trying to get there or lost trying to get back, but.
And their breakfast is reasonable even now.
Oh. Well, that's because they've never overcharged for what they get. Like, when I would get their food, I would be expecting, half of what I got. And I was like, oh, wait, that's a lot of food for a little price. And their horchata is so good.
It is not a lot of food. It is a ton of food.
Yeah.
I now get the junior or the kids. Because it's just a lot of food. It's like, dude, I can't consume that much food.
We've gone there for dinner once, and I was like, nope, their breakfast is better. I think it's the crack they put in it, Joydy. She has what makes Filiberto's so good. Everything is fresh. Everything, like, you get good portion sizes, and it's made fresh. So
I think the biggest difference is the fact that it's like a normal Mexican restaurant.
Yeah,
everything is made to order, and that's not that the chicken's been sitting there for 2 hours.
Yeah, the way you order and the way you seat, it feels like it's a fast food restaurant, but everything is made fresh to order. So, like, if you go to Moe's or Willie's or something like that, the chicken has been sitting on the steam table for who knows how long. But with Filiberto's, I'm sure they're cooking it right fresh in the back when you order your burrito.
I've never heard of Willie's.
I hadn't heard of them until I moved here, so I don't know what type. I know you guys have a Moe's out there, at least. And Moe's started here in Atlanta.
Yes, they holler "Welcome to Moe's" every time you walk in.
Yes, and I end up saying, "Who are you calling a Mo?" No, I do not do that to them.
I don't know. I'd have to be with you to see that, to believe that.
Now, I have done this several times, when it takes a little bit longer than people expect. I've had places say, I'm sorry about your wait. I was like, did you just call me fat talking about my weight? And I make sure I do it with as like sarcastic and giant smile on my face, so they know I'm not being serious, because I do not want them to think that I'm, being malicious or trying to get anybody in trouble or something. And they'll like double back for half a second until they realize, the pun and everything that I just did, and get them to giggle with me.
Nowadays, things are so crazy. You have to be so cautious, right?
Yeah. And I'll only do it to somebody that I know enough that they can take the joke. Because if somebody's having a bad day, I'm not going to throw that joke on them. But if it's somebody that, unless they're like somebody that I know, like I've ordered with them and I've chit-chatted with them, because I do that with a lot of the places that I frequent, I get to know the folks. I get to, enjoy spending time with them, like chit chat and stuff. And I will do silly things with them like that. But if it's somebody that I've never conversed with before, if I don't know how they're going to take it, I'm not going to do a weird joke like that because I don't want them to feel like I tried to set a trap to them or something else like that. I just want to make sure that they have fun.
So Alex is here, quilting with MS.
Hello, Alex.
She's coming to the New Year's Eve retreat.
Oh.
So we are very excited to host her. It's a birthday gift to herself, she said.
So she's doing a birthday gift to herself for a retreat. I'm doing a birthday gift to myself with a cruise.
See? You all had pretty nice birthdays, let me tell you. All right, let's do a second charm pack giveaway. This one is still in the purple tones. So this one is got the purple flowers. Look how pretty those are with the khaki.
Ooh.
And then the lavender with the hearts. And the gingham. And I really like this one. So very springy, summery. Let me go over and make sure I got.
Wait, those didn't look like charms.
No. They're fat. Did I say charms? I meant fat quarter.
Because I was just about to make that, how charming joke, but I was like, that I can't do that twice in a row.
No, these are fat quarters. So 4 more fat quarters. And let me go over, change it back. Let's do exclamation point fat 1. Because sometimes I know Nightbot doesn't thinks you're trying to spam if you use the same thing. So let's do exclamation point fat 1. And I will get those shipped out this week. Can you imagine? I've only got to put 2 more sides on, Russ, and I'll actually have my table runner done. So that'll be 2 projects I got done so far on holiday.
Oh, that's exciting.
And I've never gotten a project done on one of these holiday quilting bees. I am excited. Sadly, I just found Stephanie's the other day from the Veterans Day. And opened it up, and it's like 2/3 of the way done. So it probably wouldn't take me an hour to finish. I'm like, why did I not finish? It's one of those things where I guess I was up here, so I put it back in the plastic box, took it home, and ended up on a shelf. And like, I'd really like to get that because that was a really pretty pattern that she gifted us.
When I did when I was thinking about the Christmas in July project that I was gonna do this year, which is my first Christmas in July.
Yes.
I was at one of the things I was like, I wonder if Stephanie has any good patterns. And I saw that pattern and I was like, ooh, that would be great. I can do this quickly. And I was like, wait, she just gifted that one to John's subscribers. A lot of the smaller channels have the same subscriber base across the channel. So I'm like, I don't really want to do it again because folks will be like, well, I already did this on John's. I don't want to participate. So I ended up finding the Villa Rosa design.
No, I like the design that you picked. You picked a nice design. Poinsettia.
Yes. I had designed something in EQ8 of something that would be pretty fun to do. But then I was like, I'm going to have to write a pattern, and I don't want to I don't want to have to rush and learn how to do some of these tools in like Word or something. So I just said, to heck with that. I will just put that in my back pocket, so that in the future, when I can get my pattern writing figured out, when I have time to figure it out, then I can release that as a pattern, or maybe do it in a future Christmas in July.
There you go. All right, let's see who won this fat quarter. Try again, John. Jean Moosley wins again. Look at that.
Look at her stealing all the prizes.
That is cool. It is funny how just totally random Nightbot works.
Well, you know, she probably bribed Nightbot.
It is always exciting. So yeah, so of course I'm down to like the last border, and I did not line this up right, so I get to use my. So when is your talk about a little bit about your Christmas in July?
My Christmas in July, I put out an announcement video on the 1st, which gives the links to the pattern and shows the fabrics that I have chosen for my version of it, because, you know, we get to pick our own stuff. It's giving folks enough time to go purchase the pattern if they want to purchase the digital version, or, you know, you can get the physical version, because I know it takes them like a week or so to get it to you if you purchase the physical, and gives you time to go pick it out. The pattern is Poinsettia, which is this from Villa Rosa Designs.
I really like that pattern. It looks more complicated, I would guess, than it actually is.
Oh, I had in my head, this is how it's done. And then when I bought the pattern and read the pattern, I was like, really? It's that easy?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. And I will be sewing it up on my channel on July 26th, which is, you know, if you participate in Christmas in December, you know, that's December 25. So it's the day after what people would consider Christmas in July. Which, honestly, it makes more sense to do Christmas in June, because that's the halfway point.
Yeah.
But all of my arguments about the whole Christmas in June versus Christmas in July have gone on deaf ears. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatevs, people. Maybe one day I'll start a whole Christmas in June revolution. So my live on the 26th is going to be a little bit longer, just because I want to make sure that I'm able to go through all of the parts and show everything. I will have some of the pieces pre-done, just because otherwise it's going to be an all-day affair, and I do not want to do an all-day affair, because David's supposed to be in town, and I completely forgot that he was going to be in town those days. So I was like, I'll probably do like an hour and a half to 2 hour live instead of the normal hour that I do, and that still gives us time to go out and gallivant.
I love the fabrics you picked.
I think they're going to be fun. I mean, I was a little limited with my fabric selections at my shop because they hadn't put out their Christmas lines yet. So I had to go with what they had in the holiday room, which, like I said, it was a lot smaller selection. But I was like, you know, it's still going to be fun.
Yeah, because it's just now getting, most of the quilt stores and that are just now getting their Christmas. And
Yeah.
I noticed Shabby Fabrics, and some of them are just now posting their Halloween fabrics.
Yeah, I never understood why Halloween and Christmas tend to come out at the same time. It's almost like they work for Walmart. It was right before the pandemic. So the October through December before the pandemic. One person decorated their cube for Halloween, and then one person decorated their cube for Christmas, or not cube, offices. And so they were side by side. And I was like, why does it feel like I'm at Walmart right now here in the office?
Well, and of course, next week is Amazon Prime Days, and of course, Walmart's doing a big sale. And of course, I am not happy at all with Amazon right now. I am so over them.
Why? What's wrong with them for you?
I went and spent $400 on meat at Costco and decided I needed a God, I keep calling it a dehydrator, but a food saver to, so I could seal the bags and do all that. So I found exactly
the
what
vacuum sealer thing.
Yeah. So I found exactly what I wanted. Walmart actually is a little bit cheaper, but said it would take 5 days to get it to me. Of course, Amazon said they'd get it to me in 2 days. So Tuesday, when I have all this meat sitting waiting, Amazon says there's unfortunately been a delay in my order, and it's not coming till Wednesday when you leave for the park home.
Oh, no.
So I had to sort all the food, do it all by hand, and just do it the way I've been doing it. Wednesday night, I got nothing from them. Thursday, I got that they're having warehouse issues. This morning, I got an email saying, well, if you want to just cancel that and the other order that you have, you can do that. But, well, obviously, since you have no idea, because we bought netting to go in the garden to help block weeds, it's on the same order. Now, apparently, Amazon doesn't even know if they're going to ship it or when they're, it's like, so really, this is how well you're run. You don't even know.
They're having warehouse issues in Phoenix?
Yeah, of all places. So now it's been 5 days, and they're just telling me.
Did their air conditioner break? I mean, that's the only reason why I could think that they would have warehouse issues.
It just cracks me up. So I've got that to deal with today. But I'm like, you know what? If I'd ordered it from Walmart, I would already have it. So Amazon's not my friend right now. And I buy a lot from Amazon.
Yeah, I can't discuss how much I buy. Although I have cut down quite a bit because I'm trying to conserve money because of the cruise.
Yeah. The nice thing is, though, the cruise is all inclusive, basically, right?
Yeah.
Well, once you get there now, you have to decide if you all want to do any of the specialty restaurants.
And the beverage package.
Yes.
So I got to figure out which beverage package I'm interested in. And I mean, I don't do alcohol. So obviously I'm not going to do the drinking package, but it's like, okay, do I want the soda package or do I want the juice package? And I'm leaning towards the juice package because that sounds healthier, but it's still sugar upon sugar upon sugar either way.
Yeah. My problem is I could not live without my sodas. So I should. I like the way Virgin does their drink packages much better than Royal, because I'd only done Royal until this last one, but I do like the way. But yeah, I've always had to have my packages because I just consume way too much soda.
I figure I'm going to end up drinking mostly, the filtered water.
Oh, yeah. I got the.
Oh, that is awesome.
It's actually a really nice size when it's done.
Did you intend that design choice?
Yes and no.
I have been there, done that like several times. I should buy the t-shirt.
I expected more variety than there is here, but at the end of the day, I don't think it looks bad. I think.
Oh, that's not the design choice that I was talking about.
Oh, what are you
One of
talking
your
about?
blocks is upside down.
Oh yeah, I did that on purpose.
Okay. I'm just making sure you did that on purpose.
Yeah, no, I tried to. So if it's sitting on the table and that, it doesn't matter which way you're looking at it, right?
Okay.
So see, then if you're sitting on the other side, oh no, shit!
Now you see it?
What you're talking about? Yeah, now I see it. No.
I'm sorry for bringing your attention to it.
Oh man. Oh well, it is what it is. That's where I'll set the vase when I set it on the table.
Okay.
Too funny. But overall, I think it does look cute.
David had his block done ahead of time for Kona, and he was showing it off before we went live. And we were like, did you intend to make that mistake? And he's like, I'm not ripping it. I'm not ripping. And I was like, all you have to do is just rip that last seam and flip it. I'm not ripping it. But because he knew where the mistake was when he showed off his block at the end of the live, he made sure that he didn't bring the mistake up on the in there, so that people thought he was doing. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I just revealed he made a mistake.
Jody says she missed it. But I really like, see, I wanted this one to kind of be playful and fun. So,
It's still an awesome table runner. And most people aren't going to notice that something looks a little different unless they start over analyzing it. Because the one thing that I have learned is when you look at it on a smaller screen, mistakes are easier to see than if you are looking at it in person.
yes.
Because the size of everything is so different.
Well, and I have learned too, it really makes a difference when I show something to my quilting friends versus my normal friends. My normal friends, they get rock. My quilting friend goes, oh, well, why'd you do that there? And I'm like, really? That's where you focused in? But
yeah.
And I thought, I do the same thing. So, I can't complain.
I mean, that's why Steven has Walter.
It does make a difference. Oh, Balluna says, now that I've actually seen it made up in real life, I may actually make one of these. Joy, being the sweetheart she is, says she sees no mistake. Brian says it still looks good.
Exactly.
Well, I will say, I thought this looked like a fairly fun pattern, and I think it was. I don't think it was that difficult to do. It was a free pattern. But I will say, I think they did the pattern a disservice by the colors and the choices that they put together. I'm happy that I limited.
Yeah, you've seen that a lot with the Villarosa patterns too, that what they choose for the fabrics in the cards aren't always the best to show off the pattern. I mean, sometimes they're great. Like I have a pattern up here that I want to do solely because I saw how they did it in the colors. But in the like there's other stuff that I'm like, I can't visualize this. And then when I finally start to do pieces, I'm like, oh, this would look great in that.
I have to laugh because it is I a lot of times will get the Villarosa pattern and go, well, I don't mind the design, but why would they have picked this? And then I flip it over and they'll have another, and I'm like, why would you not have used that on the front? That looks so much better than the photo that you chose to put on the front.
Yeah. I think a lot of the photos put people's minds in a different direction, but also there's other people who don't visualize well unless they see a finished quilt. Because if the back of the quilts, they do. Let me see if I have a good example. Yeah, this is a good example. So that's the front of the quilt, which looks really awesome.
Yes.
But if you look at the back of the quilt, and I've got to figure out a way to cover real quick. Where's the other scrap? Because I'm not showing away any instructions.
Right.
But the version that's on the back of the quilt doesn't look as striking in this case. Like
Correct.
the front of the quilt looks super striking. The back of the quilt just looks boring. So you get the other ones, and then like where's a good one that shows? So like this one, that's too busy on the front.
Yes, I agree.
And but then you go and look at the back when they have it in the two color or the handful of colors, you can see differently how this can be a quilt.
Yes.
So yeah, I question some of their decisions on how they decide how to do a pattern, but
Joydy says you must have been a former quilt CIA agent.
it's not a former quilt CIA agent. It's I notice little details, and sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to figure out what the detail is that I'm noticing. In college, and I love this story. I was taking my introduction to algorithms class because I'm a computer geek. And the teacher, the professor, he basically said, this is what we're going to do. And he was doing pseudocode on the board to get us there. And he just quickly wrote it out. And I said, that's not right. And he goes, yes, it is. I was like, no, it's not. And he goes, well, what's wrong with it? I was like, I don't know yet, but it's not right. And like my mind is processing it while he is saying, this is what we're doing. And I was like, it's not right. And he goes, we just discussed this, right? I was like, no, it's not. And this is why. And he either had a plus when he needed a minus, or he had a greater than when he needed a less than, or something like that. It was one character was wrong, and it was either equals or greater than, something like that. And he looks at it and he just like, how did you do? I was like, I don't know. I have this weird ability. When I was interviewing for my first office job down here in Atlanta, it was with a language that I had never dealt with. But he goes, what do you think is wrong with this? What do you think is, or what do you think this is doing? What do you think it's doing? And I basically said, I see what this is doing, but something's not right here. And he goes, what do you mean? And I just stare at it for another like 30 seconds. And I said, you're missing a parenthesis. And he's like, you jerk. I spent 3 weeks trying to figure out what was wrong with this a couple weeks ago. And you figured this out in a minute. And I was like, it's a weird ability with me. Like I can look at something, and if it's not going to work, I can see that it's not going to work. But it takes me a while to figure out why it's not going to work.
Yep. All right, we have one more giveaway. So, and this one is even resonating with Russ. So this is a Villa Rosa 12 Quilts of Christmas bundle. So you get actually all 12 cards, which includes the poinsettia pattern. So if you want to do the
That's where I saw it.
yeah, so it's got the 2 gnomes, it's got the deer, the gingerbread man. So you get all 12 of these patterns. So this comes as a kit. They only do 12 quilts. They did this one for Christmas in 2024, and they did Quilts of Valor. And they're both bargains to buy if you haven't purchased these yourself. But
I was going to say, I wonder if I can buy the 12 quilts at Christmas now.
yeah, you can. It's still available. I just bought these. So if you
guess who's purchasing them now?
if you hit exclamation point 12, you can be registered for this giveaway. So exclamation point 12, 1, 2, and we will give this away. It really, and the one pattern I actually really liked in here. So the poinsettia pattern is cool. When you're doing, but I really, for some reason, I love this one called Wreathed.
I was looking at that as well as an option, but then I was like, that sounds like it's a lot of half-square triangles.
Yes. So it's going to be more work, especially.
And you probably need a design wall to put that one together because it's not done.
Yep.
It's not done in strict blocks. I can see how it's being done, but that's a lot more work to put together. So that's one.
And I love this one called Homecoming. What I get frustrated about is like, I really, really like this one, but it's done with a panel, and you got to have
a panel that size.
Yep. So, and of course, I bought the gnomes. It's got gingerbread men. It actually has placemat patterns.
Yep.
So I think it's like $12 to buy this set. You can't beat
I think I just saw it at wait, where I think it was like 14.
Is it 14? And again, you get free shipping.
Yeah, $15 plus free shipping. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, you just get, because it would be 24 if you bought them separate.
Exactly.
So
I'm ordering the 12 Quilts of Valor as well.
I did too. That ended up being, it was cheaper to do that. Well, it wasn't cheaper, but in my mind, it was nice to have what qualifies, because I didn't realize that Quilts of Valor had a specific size standard and all that you have to go by.
Yep.
So that just made sense to me.
Yeah, they have certain rules with the Quilts of Valor, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, and I understand, and I'm not going to take away from that. But one of the Sampler boxes from that quarter shop, while I was still subscribed to them, had basically it was a red, white, and blue fat quarter bundle, probably. And I liked the pattern, and I ended up doing it. And I was like, this would be kind of good for Quilts of Valor, but I don't know if it fit in the size. But a friend of mine, he is retired Army. And I've known him basically since I moved to Atlanta. And I said, okay, this is going to you because he's helped me a lot with a whole bunch of stuff. I've helped him a lot with a handful of things. And I was like, he needs to have a quilt. And apparently his dog loves the quilt. And I was like, okay, yeah, you could have the quilt too, puppy.
All right, let's see who's going to win this one.
I saw Gene was trying to go for 3 wins.
Candace.
Ooh, Candace.
So Candace, my email is scrolling across the bottom. If you just put in 12 pack or whatever in the subject line, send me an email with your address. I will get this out this week for you.
She lives not too far from me.
Oh, no kidding.
She and I have gone, gallivanting around.
How crazy is that?
She
Alex
lives.
says,
She lives in the golf cart capital of Georgia.
"Oh, of course, see, I worked and lived in North Augusta, which is South Carolina, but right there on Washington Road was the big golf cart guy, not Easy Go, the other one.
I don't know
Club
any of
Car. Club Car had their manufacturing assembly
that. Oh,
facility right there in Augusta. And of course, I lived, 5 miles from the Masters.
oh,
So that was crazy. Jordy says, looks like a fun set of Christmas patterns.
yes.
Alex says she's working on her ex-husband's quilt of valor using the grand prize pattern.
Oh,
Oh, Alex says, did you say you're in Orlando, Russ?
no, I'm in Atlanta.
For 24 years.
Yes. Northwest corner of Atlanta. So technically Marietta.
Would you have thought when you moved there 24 years ago that you'd be there that long?
Yes. Because that was the whole point of me. Like when I left the Boston area, or was leaving the Boston area, I should say, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go. And I knew in my head that was going to end up being something permanent, hopefully. So when I ended up visiting Atlanta, I actually visited this portion of town basically because I met somebody online that lived in basically a little bit south and slightly west of here, but basically like 5, 10, or 15 minutes from here. Everything seems to be at least 15 minutes if you're out in burbs. But and then if I want to go in, everything's an hour away, but that's besides the point. And I enjoyed the fact that it still felt almost city-like at times, but it also felt very secluded. Like the apartment complexes, they're pushed far enough back in many cases that while you're in there, you feel like you've got a little community. But then you get to the main roads and you're like, oh yeah, it is actually kind of bustling here. So that was a lot of what made a lot of my decisions. And then when I got to the point where I was like, I need to buy a house because the way that they keep raising rents is ridiculous. At least with a mortgage, you know that things are going to stay stable-ish. So I just basically said I need to buy a house, and I really liked this side of town. So that's why I say when I first moved here, I was living closer to downtown in Midtown area. I still wasn't in the downtown Midtown. I still far enough away. But it felt basically like I was in like one of the
I have a notification for Russell.
Boston suburbs. That's the way that it felt. So I was like, I'm comfortable here. And then it was basically my commute that ended up moving me up here because I had a horrible commute trying to get to work. And I moved up here because I was like, if I stay where I work, the commute's going to be better, not great, but better. And then if I end up working downtown, which I now am, the commute's not going to be too bad because the interstate's right here.
No, that makes sense. That makes complete sense. Hey, Russ, talk about you've got tomorrow you're live.
Yeah, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, not to be confused with whatever time it is Pacific over there, or Arizona, whatever time. So 11 a.m. Eastern, I do every Saturday my 11sies live. I'm working on homework right now lately to try to get certain projects out of my hair so I can focus on graduation quilts, because even though I just had people graduate, I have more people graduating next year. So I'm like, I got to get those done. So I'm working on homework tomorrow. And then every Wednesday afternoon, I publish my weekly vlog, which is all the shenanigans that I get up to throughout the week. And about once a month or so, which trying to figure out when I'm going to schedule it, I do a Zoom event that I call Sewing Shenanigans. It's not broadcast on YouTube anywhere. So for people who do not want to have their face out on the internets, your face isn't going to be out on the internets. But it's just basically a group of us, and new people are always welcome, where we just sew on Zoom, and it stays on Zoom, and we just have fun, chit chat with each other, convince people to buy stuff, just have a wonderful time, and we do a lot of show and tell on there. So I usually announce those about a week ahead of time, and those are announced on my vlog.
Well, Mr. Russ, it was fun being with you today on the 4th of July.
Yeah, I had a blast with you. It's always fun to get to sew with folks. And like I said, I got the borders done on that. I got some paper ripped from my dragon fruit blocks, and yeah, now I just got to figure out what I'm working on tomorrow, because I have been fairly productive this morning.
So we will catch up tomorrow. We'll see what you're up to tomorrow, and then I have my live on Sunday afternoon, and then it's already back to work. It's just crazy, isn't it?
I know. Although I'm thrilled to go back to work this week, because one of our coworkers who has been out for the last 5 weeks is coming back.
Oh, that's always exciting. It's nice to.
She had a month sabbatical, so and then she took an extra couple days out of it because she would have come back during the holiday week, and she's like, I don't want to do that, and so she was supposed to have been back Tuesday, but she took Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off on PTO, so we get to see her, and we'll be like, look how relaxed you look. Here's all the problems that you got to deal with now.
Well, I appreciate you being willing to join me. It did not feel like 3 hours. So.
Isn't that great when your time flies when you have fun?
It is. And we got things accomplished today.
I know.
So I hope everyone has a happy 4th of July. Enjoy your afternoon, evenings. Hopefully you get to see some fireworks in that tonight. And as always, until next time, happy crafting.
Toodles.